Welcome to all of you to our CUTC summer business meeting. We have a relatively full agenda, so we will try to walk through the agenda pretty fast. My name is Chandra Bhatt. I have the privilege of serving as your CUTC president, and I am with the University of Texas at Austin. What I'd like to do is to have our CUTC ExCom executive committee members briefly introduce themselves. Larry?
Hi, I'm Larry Rowlett. I'm director of the Mid-America Transportation Center at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, soon to be director of the Auburn University Transportation Research Institute at Auburn University. Thank you.
Thank you. Pat?
Good afternoon. I'm Pat Zari. I'm the secretary for CUTC, and I am the associate director at the Center for Advanced Infrastructure and Transportation at Rutgers University.
Noreen McDonald is serving as our treasurer, but she was not able to make it today. She, certainly sends her hello to all of us. Tom?
Hi, everybody. Tom O'Brien. I'm the Executive Director of the Center for International Trade and Transportation at California State University, Long Beach, and the Deputy Director of the MetTrans Transportation Consortium. I am immediate past president of CUTC for at least another hour or so.
Marwa?
Hi, I'm Marwa Hassan. I'm the director of the Regional University Transportation Center, and I've been a member of CUTC, a member at large with CUTC. Thank you.
Shauna? I'm not sure if Shauna is here today. She might join us later. David?
Good afternoon, everyone. David Kack. I'm the Executive Director at the Western Transportation Institute, Montana State University, Bozeman, and also Director of the Small Urban, Rural, and Tribal Center on Mobility.
Thank you. Michael?
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Mike Noether, and I'm the director of the Transportation Center at the University of Massachusetts.
Sriraj? Well, hopefully he'll join us. He just was in an earlier meeting related to Tide, so we'll see. Inhai? Is Inhai around?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I'm Inhai Wang. I'm director of the Region 10 University Transportation Center, PACTRANS, at the University of Washington. Good to see everyone.
Thank you, Inhai. Thank you. Let me now turn it over to Pat for the approval of our business meeting at TRB.
Good afternoon, everybody. The meeting minutes are available on the Whova page. If you scroll all the way down to the bottom, you'll find that resource there for you. Here is a quick summary of the meeting minutes from our last meeting from January 5th. It was a virtual meeting. It was the day before our quite successful winter banquet with all those wonderful student videos and that software platform with the virtual tables, just to kind of refresh everybody's memory. I have a few highlights I'd just like to go over. We have 7 points we'd like to refresh everybody's memory on. Number one, CUTC remains financially healthy, with a few minor pandemic and virtual hiccups with dues, but everything is in good shape. We also discussed that even though our banquet was virtual, we felt it was important to maintain the sponsorship commitments, which was also quite successful with 15 sponsors for the banquet. Point two, back in January, we had just transitioned CUTC's management from the 15-year agreement with ARPA to the new partner, Meetings Northwest. Karen Philbrick outlined the entire process, including the RFP, the proposal review, the selection criteria, and ultimately Meetings Northwest was the best fit for CUTC, specifically that they were a management association. It's their full-time focus. Point 3, our event prep committee. We had hoped that today's meeting would be in Big Sky, but as you can see, we're still virtual. But we did talk about the winter banquet. We talked about the preparation for the summer meeting, and we also talked about our industry university sponsorships, really to help recognize the award winners at the virtual banquet. Point 4, our coordination committee. At that time, we were just kicking off the idea of the racial justice and equity efforts. Shri Raj outlined the plans for the webinar series, which we just completed our 4th webinar just moments ago. Point 5, student awards. We did have a drop in submissions with our student awards, probably because some students delayed graduation and remote mode issues. But we hope everyone in attendance today will really encourage students this year to apply. But overall, we were in very good shape with the process and the reviewers. Point 6, that was journal submissions. We just had a 1-hour session earlier today on that, so we won't spend more time reviewing that. I think that was a quite healthy overview from the earlier session today. Point 7, strategic partnerships. AASHTO RAC and ARPA, solid relationships with ASC, T&DI, as well as ITE, as significant growth opportunities for CUTC for this coming year. The full details of the meeting minutes are available. And with that said, if there's any questions, if you can post that in the session Q&A, that'd be great. Give everybody a few seconds to ask any questions. And I'll just say that CUTC has been really trying to step up their efforts over the past year, even despite the global pandemic and making the whole virtual situation work. I don't see any questions coming in. So can I have a motion to approve the minutes from the winter meeting?
This is David
Shashi,
Pack.
so
I'll make
moved.
that motion.
Can I have a second?
Shashi from UNLV second.
Thank you. So any objections, please note them in the question box, please. And not seeing any objections. It's a little bit challenging, so we thank everybody for bearing with us. Otherwise, we assume that the motion passes. So let the record show that it passes unanimously. And Chandra, back over to you.
Thank you so much, Pat, for that comprehensive summary of our meeting minutes from the winter session. Let's move now to the treasurer's report. As I indicated earlier, Noreen wasn't able to join us. So Tracy, who joined us after the TRB meeting, will be giving the report. And by the way, Tracy is the executive director of CUTC. Go ahead, Tracy.
Thanks, and nice to meet, at least virtually, everyone. And this is my first business meeting. We are still sitting very well financially, similar to what we were in January as far as funds levels. We have been able to catch up with all but just a few of the outstanding memberships that had occurred due to the COVID delays. And just to let everyone know, we will be beginning to invoice July 1st for the 2021 to 2022 membership year. So that will be coming up here shortly. Costs related to this meeting will be likely under $5,000. So that will be good news for CUTC. It'll be able to keep those costs down. Any questions? And once again, just like Pat said, feel free to post them in the Q&A section. And I can look. Oh, okay. Well, seeing no questions, Chandra.
Thank you. Okay, Tracy alluded to the fact that we are in a reasonably good financial position. Many of you might recall that about 3 or 4 years back, with the help of Laurie McGuinness, we initiated a new initiatives program, and we kind of held that back in a hiatus state, if you will, because of COVID. And what we are going to do now is really reinitiate that particular program. and Larry has been helping us draft some of the thoughts and an overview of the program. So Larry, it's all yours.
Great, thanks. Thanks, Chandra. Assuming everyone can see the slides that I'm sharing.
Yes.
Oh, great, thank you. So what I want to do first is give a synopsis. So for those of you who aren't familiar with it or don't remember it too well, the goal is to enable CUTC members to propose one-time or ongoing activities that advance the goals of CUTC. The proposals that are allowed are technology transfer, workforce development, and synthesis type research. Again, the key is to bring benefit to CUTC members. Not allowed are proposals for conducting research projects, essentially, right? So it's really to help out our members, all of our members, with tech transfer, workforce development type things. Examples: Workforce Development Summit, primer and webinar series, travel scholarships, educational materials to expose our future workforce to the breadth of transportation careers. Obviously, that last one would fit very well with the equity discussion we just had earlier today. And these are only examples. Obviously, there's a lot of wider range, but it was just to give some insight into what the CUTC is after with this program. Past winners. So 2019 through 2020 was the first time we ran the competition. There was a winner for Tribal College Summit, bringing partnerships to connect Native American students to transportation careers and higher education. That was run through Montana State University. David is on the line right now, obviously part of the EC. And that was by the Small Urban, Rural, and Tribal Center on Mobility. It'll be held in conjunction with the National Transportation Indian Country Conference. Unfortunately, with COVID, all this has been canceled, so everything's been postponed. But it is ongoing, and the intent is to run it. University of Iowa Safer Sim had a project on improving traffic safety through educational career promotion outreach to youth and scouting. In particular, they developed an online resource for Boy Scout traffic safety merit badge. I don't want to take the thunder away from Don Marshall, but they've done an excellent job on getting connected to the community and getting Scouts active in getting their merit badges. I just wanted to give an introduction to it. Time doesn't allow us, David and Don to talk about it, but they will be providing an update at a future CUTC meeting, either the winter or the summer meeting in Big Sky. As Chandra indicated, last year was put on hold, so there are no past winners from 2020 to 2021. But what I want to do now is go into what our proposed operating rules are for the next year. So we want to run the competition this year or this fiscal year. The funding constraints: the maximum amount is $15,000 per year. If you're recurring initiatives, if you're asking for money over a number of years, you're going to have to resubmit every couple of years. The committee, we've talked about only allowing a maximum of 3 initiatives that can be awarded each year. And that the indirect rate for any proposed project is capped at 10%. The program for any given year is a function of the available budget. So those are sort of the operating constraints. The selection panel will be a combination of CUTC members at large and executive committee members, and I'll talk more about that in a few slides. The criteria that has been proposed and actually was based on our previous competition. So 35% to supporting the CUTC mission highlights and education. That 35% that it benefits a significant component of CUTC members, 10% for budget justification, and 20% for how much the applicant is putting in resources to match the CUTC donation. There's a 5th criteria: are staff resources required from CUTC or other strategic partners? It's not part of the scoring, but it will be factored in the final decision by the EC. So if there's a significant amount of work to do or to commitment by CUTC, that will be taken into account at the final decision. The proposed timeline. So what I would like to do is get feedback from CUTC members on what I just proposed from mid-June to mid-July. Final decision on operating rules will be made at the July Executive Committee meeting. After that, we're going to have the RFP. So after that, this summer, we're going to be asking for proposals with a due date of approximately September 1st, 2021. The review panel will then review, rate, and recommend proposals for funding. Based on past practice, anything over 5,000, we're going to ask the group to present to the review panel through distance-based Zoom. So they're going to present their proposal. Anything less than 5,000 as a request, they will not be required to present to the review panel. The review panel will then make recommendations to the executive committee, and then the executive committee will be making a final decision at the October meeting. So that's the proposed timeline. So feedback from CUTC members, we're going to decide at our next meeting, which is tomorrow, whether it's a survey or poll, but we want to get feedback on, you know, is the timeline right? Is the criteria right? Do all this seem reasonable? And you can always obviously contact any members of the executive committee directly. So if you do have opinions on anything that I've just said, and you want to contact us directly, you can. Obviously, be a Q&A at the end of this presentation as well. I'm also going to be looking for volunteers to serve on the review panel. So let us know if you're interested in being part of the review process on this initiative. And as Chandra said, a big thank you to Lori. I'm pretending this is all mine. It's actually all Lori's. She retired in 2021. You may, for those who are not familiar, she's now the former director. She was the director of the Center for Transportation Studies at the University of Minnesota. And she was a former CUTC EC member who really spearheaded this initiative. So deep appreciation for Lori and all her works. At the bottom, there's a link to a nice article on Lori and her retirement that just, like I said, occurred back in February. So with that, that's a quick overview of the purpose of it, the criteria, and the proposed timeline. Like I said, we didn't have a lot of time to discuss this, but I'd be happy to take any questions, Chandra, if we do have time right now.
Yeah, I'm looking at the HUA. I don't see any questions as of now, but if questions come up, we'll come back to you, Larry.
Yeah,
yes. I did post a question. Sorry, I did post a question. I don't know if it didn't go through.
Go ahead.
Sure, go ahead, Konstantin.
Well, is there a template that you guys are going to be providing for the proposals so all of them kind of like follow the same format? Like, you know, you don't want proposals, one is 15 pages, one is 2 pages. And also, can the deadline be pushed to October 1st? Because usually September 1st is a very busy time, beginning of the year, and, you know, a lot of like logistics going on. So those, sure. Just those 2 questions.
Those are 2 good questions, Konstantin. Yes, there will be a template that will follow the criteria. So once we get the criteria agreed to, we're going to put a template together so that everyone can answer it. So we're not looking around for the criteria, if that makes sense, right? So how does it benefit CUTC members? How much support are you providing? So all of that will be, once we get the criteria agreed upon, the template will follow. The second part was the timeline. Yeah, it's a proposed timeline, and that's the kind of feedback we're looking at. And I'm perfectly happy to move it to October. So again, if anyone has any other feelings or thoughts, send it to the executive committee or send it to me. But we'll take that into consideration, Konstantin.
And just one last thing, Larry. If, let's say, we are able to get a full IDC waiver, that's, of course, okay, right?
Oh, yeah, of course. I think, so it's a good question. So it was Konstantin's questions on the overhead rate. And where this came up was a lot of universities require 50% or 60% overhead match or overhead rate, unless the sponsoring AG says you can't. So we put one in at 10%, and it gives everyone cover to go, well, we can only get 10%. Do you want to do this or not? So that's why it's there. And Konstantin, if you wanted to use all the funding, that would be obviously allowed.
Okay, thank you, Larry, for spearheading this effort, and of course to Lori before. You know, this is a wonderful opportunity for each one of us to try to do things that might contribute to society, to contribute to CUTC objectives in all its glory, not just research, technology transfer, workforce development. So we look forward to your proposals. And as Larry mentioned, please have thoughts flowing our way. We have at least two, maybe one or two executive committee meetings. So we will have some time to discuss your thoughts and questions as we move forward. So we'll go now to item number 6. Thank you again, Larry. So membership, we are doing very well with membership. As Tracy mentioned earlier, there was some issue with the dues payment, triggered in part by some people moving, but primarily because of COVID-related issues. Tracy, I see a question that is marked as answers, but how can we find out if our dues were received last year? You want to go ahead and address that question?
And I actually put the answer. So if you click on that question, I put our office's phone number and then my email in there. So if you want to double check on if your dues have been received or paid for this previous year, obviously we haven't billed for this coming year yet, then go ahead and just either give us a call. We can let you know, or look and you can just copy and paste that email into your system and shoot me a quick note and I'll take a look and get back to you.
Okay, Tracy, thank you. And letting the cat out of the bag, or perhaps putting you on the spot, Tracy, we are trying to make the payment process smoother and easier, right?
Yes, and so and it even is in place right now. So there is an online, quick and easy online option that you can do right now just by going to the website and clicking on membership and clicking on renew my dues. So quick and easy, definitely an option if you want to do that. If your university requires a W-9 form or similar, once again, just drop me an email and we will get that taken care of. I will caution that we have had a change in address and a change in bank information this past year. So if you know that your system involves an auto payment, please check with me before initiating that to make sure that we have the new information in your system. Otherwise, they'll send it to an account that does not exist anymore and it causes some problems.
Thank you, Tracy. Okay, as we move into the next item, let me also make a mention that there are 5 poll questions that you should see on the right side of your Whova screen under the category of polls. So if you can go over those poll questions and provide your responses, that would be very helpful to CUTC as we attempt to have more inclusivity and more of a diverse membership, but also in the context of, do we want to do anything more? What might be some additional value that CUTC can provide to its membership? So please go to the poll section and respond to the questions there, even as we move forward in the agenda. So with that, let's move to item 6B, events preparation. Larry and Pat, take it away.
Okay, I'm going to let, so for those of you who aren't familiar with how the executive committee works, typically the vice president is the one who does the event planning. This is going to be my last day as vice president, so I'm going to ask Pat, who will be hopefully our next vice president, to talk about the upcoming events.
Sure. Thanks, Larry. So yes, right now, I'll keep this real short, but we're really shifting our focus and efforts right now to start preparing for the winter meeting. TRB has already indicated that, the plan is that TRB will be in person, but we're still waiting on some details about room reservations and any restrictions. It's kind of a fluid environment right now. I think the business meeting and the directors meeting, I would imagine that would be fairly straightforward, but I think there's a lot of questions surrounding the banquet. So specifically for the banquet, we'd like to get some input from our membership and see, if we need to adjust any of our thinking. Does the historical full banquet format still meet our needs this year? Not saying it won't come back full force eventually, but we want to make sure that this works for everybody. So if you scroll down to your the bottom of the Whova page, you'll see that there's a couple of questions there there's a link all the way at the bottom that there's 3 questions. And we specifically really want to know whether you're planning to attend TRB in person. That would obviously affect the directors meeting. I'm sure the feds would appreciate the input back on that. But also for the banquet, how many people do you expect to from your organization to attend the banquet? And also, probably most importantly, do you expect your student of the year or your student award winners to participate? I mean, frankly, it's a banquet to recognize the successes and recognize our students. So if our students aren't able to attend, we definitely want to make sure that we rethink that, maybe consider doing a hybrid mode or something like that. I think the preference is definitely in person, but we just want to kind of gauge the room and see whether anybody has any thoughts on that and gather as much input from our membership as possible. So if everyone can go ahead and complete those 3 questions, and we'll provide more information later on in the year as we get closer to the meeting. Larry, do you have anything you'd like to add at this point?
No, sounds great. I think we're all looking forward to being back in person. So
absolutely.
Thanks, Pat.
Yep, great. Thank you. And back to you, Chandra.
Thank you, Larry and Pat. I see that the poll questions are being responded to. There are about 20 or 24 responses, but many more participants. So please go to the poll questions. And as Pat just mentioned, if you scroll below, you will have the winter meeting survey questions. So please do respond to those. We decided that trying to get information when we are all together in this meeting would be a very good way of having a high response rate. So please don't find us wrong in making that assessment. Okay, so with that, let's go to the events preparation committee, the activities coordination committee. Sriraj.
Well, thanks to everyone for helping us complete a very successful webinar series for the last year. We are going to unpack it and then see how the numbers looked and then how we can improve upon them. As far as next activities are concerned, there are a few on the hopper, but I think it'll be best served if we meet tomorrow and take stock of where we are headed and then be able to share it with the larger CUTC audience. Chandra.
Okay, so thank you, Sriraj. And in addition to the type seminar series, CUTC is also now including diversity and inclusion resources at our website. We have a new website thanks to Tracy and Sriraj and co. So we really appreciate all those activities that are moving forward. So let's go to the awards committee chair and Marwa.
Thank you, Chandra. Hi, everyone. As you know, the awards committee consists of myself, David Kack, and Mike Nodler. Last meeting, when we met virtually before the TRB, I presented a summary of what we have done and the awards and who they went to. It's a pleasure leading this committee. The one thing that I'm very proud of what we've done this year is streamlining the criteria and the award review process. What we are going to do from now on is standardize the procedures that were developed this year, and we're going to continue using them in the future. We have also expanded the descriptions of each award on the website, thanks to Tracy. We are currently working on finalizing minor details in each of the award criteria, and we are going to be updating those on the website prior to the end of August. The awards, the call for nominations of the awards will be open September 1st, and it will stay open till October 15th. I would ask each and every one of you to participate in the process and nominate. And please make sure when you do nominate the packages that each criteria that is listed on the website is being addressed in the application package for full consideration. Thank you so much, and back to you, Chandra.
Thank you, Marwa. I should also say that Sue McNeil and Hillary Nixon have been spearheading our efforts for the student awards. We have, as all of you should know, 4 student awards, actually more than that, 6 student awards for reports, for master's thesis, and for dissertations in 2 areas. One is planning and policy, and the other is technology and science. I believe the due date for that is September 30th, so please nominate your wonderful students for those awards. And I'd like to thank Hillary and Sue for helping and coordinating that effort. So with that, let's go to nominations. And Tom, it's yours.
Thanks, Chandra. So the nominations, the responsibility for nominations of new executive committee members and the slate of officers has traditionally fallen to the immediate past president. This year, I recruited the past immediate past president and the future immediate past president to help the nominations committee. So I'd like to thank Karen Philbrick from San Jose State and Chandra. You have at the bottom of your screen as well on Whova, below Melissa Tooley's picture, the ballot. What I'd like to do though first is ask Hillary Nixon, who is one of the 2 nominees, to join the executive committee, to come live on mic, and if you have your camera, and just say a few words about yourself and perhaps your interest in the CUTC executive committee. Oh, not hearing you, Hillary. Let's see.
So
I was going to say, while she's working on her audio, the second of the 2 nominees is Camille Kemga, who is an associate professor of civil engineering at the City College of New York. He's not able to be with us today. He's out of the country, but both Camille and Hillary's bios and statements are posted, I believe, on the Whova page. And Camille has been the director of the University Transportation Research Center at City College in CUNY. He's also the associate director of the CUNY Institute for Urban Systems. And he has been involved on the steering committee with TIDES. He's a student of Neville Parker, who many of you know or knew, and had a direct connection thus to the CUTC program from early on in his career. And in his statement, he highlights the fact that he's particularly interested in having CUTC serve in a better way junior faculty. So let me see, Hillary, how are we doing?
I think she had to jump out and was going to log back in. I haven't
Okay.
seen her come back in yet, Tom.
Okay.
So if maybe.
So, Tom, if it's okay, we'll allow Hillary to come back, and when she comes back, she can make her remarks.
Okay. And then if you want to defer the elections portion of the agenda until that happens.
Yeah, that would be fine. We'll wait for Hillary to make contact back with us and then move from there.
Okay.
In the meantime, why don't we go ahead with the bylaw modification? Pat, I can take it, but you are the closest to that bylaw modification. Do you want to take it? Before that, Hillary is on, I think at least. Hillary, go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Can you hear me now, Chandra?
Yes.
Now, everyone? Solve the technology issue. Anyway, so as Tom mentioned, my name's Hillary Nixon. I am currently Deputy Executive Director at the Mineta Transportation Institute, faculty member also in our graduate program in transportation management. Certainly honored to have been nominated to serve on the executive committee. I've pretty much been affiliated with the UTC program since I was a PhD student back in the good old days at UC Irvine, and really have valued the opportunity to network, information exchange, the learning opportunities through the UTC and CUTC program as well. Would be certainly honored to serve on the board. Excited to help the rest of the executive committee serve the membership on achieving the organization's mission and goals. And I don't want to take up too much extra time because I know there's lots of other important things to talk about. And thanks for your patience with my audio issues.
Thank you, Hillary.
Thank you, Hillary.
Tom.
Yeah, so then we'd like to transition then to the elections itself. You will see at the bottom, as I said, of your Whova screen, a link to the slate of candidates. We are asking that you accept or reject the full slate, as we do not have a competition for any of the individual positions. And Tracy will be monitoring the results, and we will share them with you shortly.
Thank you, Tom. So please do go to the bottom of your Whova screen and respond to the election ballot. And even as you do that, please do respond to the winter meeting survey questions and the polling. Thank you. Pat.
You got it, Chandra. So while everybody's voting, and please do vote, I'll give a quick update on a minor change we want to make to the CUTC bylaws. This was circulated in email over a week ago. In compliance with our bylaws, any suggested changes have to be circulated. They were circulated. So what the change basically is currently, when someone wants to be nominated for the CUTC elected position, the secretary handles the nomination and the slate. And it, so there's a nominating, and then there's also a nominating committee that reports back to the executive committee. Normally, the secretary that would be assembling the slate would appear on the ballot. So it was a discussion the executive committee had that the proposed change would remove the elected officer, the secretary position, that would usually appear on the ballot from distributing the ballots. Just removes that one layer. So instead of the secretary collecting and distributing the ballots, it would fall to the nominating committee, the chair of the nominating committee. So there are 4 instances in our bylaws where we strike the word secretary and we replace it with chair of the committee, chair of the committee, chair of the committee, and reporting to the executive committee. So that's a quick update of the bylaws. Like I said, those were all emailed out already. We did not receive any feedback or any objections to that change. It's relatively straightforward. I think it makes us a stronger organization doing that. So if anyone has any objections or questions, if they could either speak up now or post something in the chat box, we'd appreciate it. Give everybody a quick second here, and I'm not seeing anything. Looks good. So do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Okay, we got a motion. Okay, and Melissa, it sounds like you're willing to second that.
Sure.
Okay, so we have a second. Any objections, please note it in the box. Not seeing any. Thank you, everybody, for being awesome. Let's let the record show that it was passed unanimously, and it has passed. So, Chandra, back over to you.
Thank you so much, Pat, for handling this. It's basically a conflict of interest that an EC felt was happening. I'm glad that we all agree that the perceived conflict of interest must be removed. So with that, let's go to item number 8, and that is our CUTC Rhetoric Spotlight Conference. Melissa and Lily have helped organize this conference in the past. So Melissa, want to just give a quick update?
Sure. Thank you, Chandra. I serve as the chair of the Research, Education, and Training Reauthorization Coalition, and that's a group of universities that advocates for the University Transportation Centers program. I do want to also make clear that the funds that we use to support Rhetoric are not UTC funds. The universities who are members of Rhetoric support their membership with other funds from their universities. So this is the group that makes sure that it's clear to Congress what the benefits of the University Transportation Centers program are. We have been very successful, I believe, in the last few years. Actually, over time, Rhetoric's been around now for probably 15 or 20 years, and we've done a really good job of making sure that Congress understands what our benefits are. Our most recent Spotlight Conference, which we did co-host with CUTC, was last May. And I think I've probably done a pretty detailed update on that at previous meetings, but we summarized the results of a survey that we did of Rhetoric members and CUTC members where we were trying to quantify what the impacts of the pandemic were on our activities, and our congressional members and staff who joined in and stakeholders were very interested in hearing about that. And then we also had presentations from our members on some of our COVID-related research at that time. The universities that presented that were the Texas A&M Transportation Institute, who actually I represent, the Mineta Transportation Institute, and the Maryland Transportation Institute. We will be doing another spotlight probably within the next year. Timing to be determined. As you know, there's an awful lot going on Capitol Hill right now. Some of the things that Rhetoric has been working on, we were able to secure funding, additional funding for the UTC program, which resulted in that kind of mini competition that occurred last summer, where those 4 additional UTCs were funded through appropriations. Right now, there are increases of funding for the UTC program of anywhere from 7% to 100% on the various surface reauthorization bills that are floating around up on Capitol Hill. And we've been working really closely with congressional offices on that. And again, just to increase awareness and appreciation for the program. And it is a very popular program congressionally, so we feel like we're on solid footing going into the next reauthorization bill. We will continue advocating for overall UTC funding. And then also too, I just want to say, if your university is not a member of Rhetoric and you've got questions about it, please reach out to me. We'd be happy to talk to you about that. It's a really interesting organization. It'll help you understand what's going on in DC and give you regular updates on things that are going on that impact our UTCs and what we do. So if you want to make your voice heard, that's a good way to do it. We absolutely value our partnership with CUTC and are looking forward to planning another spotlight here probably in the next few months. Thank you, Chandra.
Thank you, Melissa. Thank you. These spotlight conferences have been very valuable in elevating, UTC, as Melissa indicated, is a program that is held in high regard. And the Spotlight Conference just helps us show all the nice, amazing things that we do as in our university transportation centers. So Melissa, appreciate it. So let's go to the CUTC self-assessment. We already had some questions in the polls, but Sriraj has been helping us. So Sriraj, if you would like to talk about where you want to take this self-assessment.
So just as a background to the self-assessment topic, Chandra and others, there have been, we've had different types of members that have joined CUTC over the last several years, including community colleges, tribal colleges, and other four-year institutions. And there also has been a turnover in the membership as members leave CUTC and may not come back if they're not part of the UTC designation federally funded. So there's been some questions about what is it that members get out of CUTC and how we can have a tiered structure to membership in terms of fees and other things. So there's been an ongoing discussion in the executive committee and outside of it about how to corral all of this. We have started compiling a list of questions that we would like to administer as a survey to the CUTC members at large, and also look into this idea of tiered memberships and other incentives to entice our community college partners and tribal college partners to be active members of CUTC. So that's part of what this is all kind of leading to. And so that's where we are. There's still a lot more to be discussed and understood. But at some point in the near future, we will have a survey out to the CUTC members where you can have your input and say about how you feel about the various CUTC related endeavors.
Thank you, Sriraj, and keep that exchange flowing, keep the information and input that we can get from all of you, because the executive committee serves at a pleasure of the membership. So please let us know how we might enhance the value of membership to CUTC and what we can do in terms of new initiatives also. So Tom, do we have the results of the poll? Of the election ballot, I'm sorry.
Sorry, Sean, I do not have a note yet, so I will ask Tracy.
Actually, if you look in the chat, your chat box, Tom.
Ah, okay. I was looking in the wrong place.
Did you find it?
I don't see it. Hoover or Zoom?
Just in Zoom right there, if that's okay.
I do not. I actually don't have a message in chat.
Okay, well, it got 8. So we had 31 people respond, and all were yes.
Okay. So we have a slate of newly elected officers. Thank you, Tracy.
Wonderful, Tom, and for handling this. Congratulations to the new CUTC board. What I'd like to do is, just end my tenure as the CUTC president by giving a quick recap. This past year has been an interesting one, all virtual, but even despite the challenges, as CUTC, we have made some important strides. The winter meeting and the banquet, I thought was well structured, and we learned quite a bit. Perhaps giving students a voice, an actual voice during the function is something we might consider even if we go in person, when we go in person in 2022. We also have streamlined a lot of things within the CUTC executive committee that Larry was alluding to. There were so many things being done by different individuals. So we now have 3 clear committees with officer descriptions in terms of who's in charge of those committees. We introduced a new award by having a technology transfer and a workforce development award. And perhaps very importantly, we have a new management staff. You have seen Tracy come on video today multiple times during the business meeting. So Northwest Meetings is our new management agency. And Tracy, we have been just privileged to have you come on board. Thank you for everything that you do. We did have discussions about a journal submission copyright. It's a discussion that will continue. Thanks to many of you who participated in the TIDE webinar series. And I'm confident that that will increase our activities in diversity and inclusion. Sue and Hillary, as always, thank you for your student dissertation and master's thesis selections. Larry, Marwa, Sriraj, for your role as committee chairs. I do want to make a special mention of Karen Philbreck and Tom O'Brien, the immediate past presidents. They, no kidding here, they essentially wrote the RFP for the new management service agency, and they took it all the way to fruition and made a strong recommendation to the EC. So with that, let me just congratulate the new incoming CUTC Executive Board. And also, I would like to welcome 2 new CUTC members. One of them is Washington State, and the other is Auburn University, where our new president, Lawrence Rylett, is going to take up residence soon. So let me end by saying it's been a privilege to work with each one of you and as your CUTC president. And I know that CUTC is in wonderful hands. I look forward to CUTC continuing to be the flagship academic association of transportation centers in the country. Thank you again. And Larry, you're the boss.
Yeah, there you go. Thanks, Chandra. I think we all, obviously we're going to talk more about Chandra's contribution to CUTC in the winter meeting, but I think we do owe him a great deal of gratitude. This has been, as we all know, a tough year, and he's done a great job. I can't think of anyone better to be running CUTC in a pandemic. We got a lot done, and he got the short straw on this one, not to have any live meetings, but we'll see if we can make it up to you in the winter and summer, Chandra. So thank you. It was you did a great job. In terms of future, what the next year will bring, looking forward, as Chandra indicated, we're going to continue to do the equity outreach. Certainly, we're going to expand on some of the things we've done. We did a great start off. I think a lot of our members have a deep track record in successful equity and outreach activities, and I'd like to have them highlighted in a way so that others can learn from some of their experiences, so lessons learned. I'd also like to focus a bit on Native American participation in the transportation field. There is a statistic that there's only, in all the colleges of engineering in the United States, there's only 4 Native professors who are Native American or belong to tribal nations. I think I know 3 of them. I know 3 of them. It's a very low number, and we have to, I think CUTC can help in getting those numbers up in Native American participation in the transportation field. So I look forward to doing that. I would encourage everyone to reach out to me if you want to be involved in anything you've heard today, whether it's on the new initiatives program or some of these outreach activities. Let us know. As Chandra said, we're a service organization, and we're here to serve you, and we'd love to hear your feedback and get you participating. I know we don't have a lot of time right now, but I do look forward to this coming year and working with all of you on some of our important initiatives. So thank you. Looking at the agenda, our next item is number 11, future meetings. David, do you want to address that?
Certainly, and it has been a long time since we've met in person. Thinking back, our last in-person summer meeting was in Norman, Oklahoma, and it seems like a long time. And so we're honored to have selected, and we're looking forward to getting forward to hosting all of you in Big Sky. So again, the host will be the Small Urban, Rural, and Tribal Center on Mobility. Wonderful combination of bobcats, bison, and eagles. So our partners at North Dakota State University and Eastern Washington University. So on the next slide, we'll see that again, we've had a few that we haven't been able to get to. And so we know everyone's anxious to get the Big Sky and we're going to do the best we can to present an awesome summer meeting. So on the next slide, we'll see again that we're going to be up in the mountains. So the base of Big Sky, where we'll be, is at about 7,500 feet in elevation. Lone Mountain, a little over 11,000 feet. And we're hoping that we have weather like that when you attend. Mid-June, you never know. We had 90 degrees and we've had snow. So we'll hopefully hit the sweet spot in the middle and have great weather for you. We have amazing air service into Bozeman. I think it's 29 direct flights that you can get to. So we're hoping it's very easy for you to get to Big Sky. The area continues to grow, and we think those options for you to get here will make it easy for you to show up. On the next slide, again, we're hoping that the only social distancing that we'll have to have is from the bears. We hope, again, the conditions are great and the wildlife abounds and there are lots of opportunities to get out there. You know, we'll make sure that everyone knows how to approach the wildlife. If you had advanced once more, Tracy, you know, like we say, it's never great to surprise a bear. So we'll make sure everyone knows the rules and has a wonderful experience when they're there. On the next slide, you'll see we'll do a pretty big shift after Bozeman. Florida International University was selected. So we'll be going from a community of about 3,000 people to a city of about 990,000, which is almost the population of the entire state of Montana. We'll be going from about 7,500 feet to about 9 feet and being among the pine trees to palm trees. I want to thank the folks at FIU as well, because as we've had to have these delays because of COVID, you know, we've talked about, are we just shifting or are we going to go to Miami and then come to Big Sky? And the folks at FIU have been very gracious about just saying, no, we picked Big Sky to be the next one, so let's just continue to slide that along. And so, again, we look forward to seeing everybody in Big Sky. We're going to be doing some tweaking to the agenda and certainly talking to everyone at the winter meeting, but look forward to seeing everyone in Big Sky. And thank you much for your time.
Great. Thanks, David. So to stay on time, looks like we're spot on. I hope everyone has a safe and enjoyable rest of your summer. And we look forward to seeing everyone in person in January, and be on the lookout for those surveys and the other things that we're going to be reaching out on as CUTC members. So thank you. Thanks to everyone who participated today, and we'll talk to you soon.